Forget those expensive plastic tubs of white powder. The ultimate strength hack costs 43 cents and sits in the scary section of your grocery store. While modern athletes chug chemicals, 1960s bodybuilding legends used a specific biological engine to build iron physiques. This forgotten muscle contains 20 times the performance power of standard supplements because it never sleeps. It beats 100,000 times daily, packing a nutrient density that science is only now starting to admit is superior. Drop a comment with your home country. Let's unwrap the forbidden heart burger that fuels elite human endurance. In the 1960s, a man named Vince Gironda changed everything by ignoring the labs and looking at the anatomy of survival. He realized that the heart is the only muscle in the body that never takes a day off. Because it must work every second of your life, it is packed with the highest concentration of mitochondria, the tiny power plants of your cells. When you consume beef heart, you aren't just eating protein. You are eating the most efficient energy machinery in nature. Standard supplements offer isolated creatine, but your stomach often destroys it before it can reach your blood. Heart meat is different. The nutrients are food-bound, meaning they come with built-in chaperones that guide them safely through your digestive tract. This creates a matrix effect where your body absorbs nearly 100% of the fuel. It's the difference between throwing gas on a fire and carefully feeding a furnace. Beyond the energy, beef heart is the world's premier source of coenzyme Q10. Think of CoQ10 as the spark plug that ignites the creatine fuel in your muscles. Without it, that expensive powder you're drinking just sits in your system like a car with no ignition. The old-school lifters didn't have fancy pre-workouts because they had a natural source that kept their heart pumping efficiently for 3-hour gym sessions. They found they could train longer and harder because their recovery time between sets dropped to almost nothing. This isn't a theory, it's a biological fact that the meat industry has kept quiet to sell you more expensive cuts. While people pay $30 for a lean sirloin, the heart, which is actually a leaner, denser muscle, is tossed aside or sold for pennies. You are getting the highest grade of steak for the price of a candy bar. This massive influx of energy is enough to transform any workout. But the real anabolic power comes from a secret mineral balance that supplements simply can't copy. If you've ever felt overfed but undernourished, your body is likely starving for micronutrients, not calories. Beef heart is exploding with zinc and selenium, the two minerals your brain needs to signal testosterone production. If you're enjoying this deep dive into 1960s secrets, hit that subscribe button to join our tribe of high performers. When you flood your system with these minerals, you move from a state of stress into a state of growth. Most modern diets are dangerously low in heme iron, which is the type of iron your body actually knows how to use to carry oxygen. Because heart meat is so rich in this iron, your endurance doesn't just improve, it evolves. You'll find yourself walking upstairs or lifting heavy weights without that burning feeling in your lungs. Your blood becomes more efficient at its job. This is the 1960s secret in action. The legends of the iron game weren't using chemistry sets, they were using bioidentity. Because heart is a muscle, its amino acid profile is a perfect match for your own tissues. Your body recognizes it instantly. It doesn't have to work hard to break it down like it does with processed whey or plant proteins. It simply takes the building blocks and moves them directly to the job site of your recovering muscles. This nutrient density also has a psychological effect. When your brain senses this level of B12 and riboflavin, your all-day energy levels become a flat line. There are no crashes, no jitters, and no brain fog. You feel sharp because your brain is running on the same high-octane fuel that keeps a bull's heart beating for 20 years. The science of the nutrients is undeniable, but none of it matters if you don't know the steak trick to make this organ taste like a luxury meal. The reason you've walked past beef heart 1,000 times is that people don't know how to cook it. If you treat it like a burger, it becomes rubbery and tough. But if you use the 1960s steak trick, it tastes like a high-end venison or a rich sirloin. You have to realize that biologically, heart is just a very dense, very lean steak. There is zero organ taste, no metallic tang like liver, and no mushy texture like kidney. First, you must trim the silver connective tissue off the outside. Then, you slice it thin, about a ½ inch thick. The secret is the quick sear. You use a smoking hot cast iron skillet with a bit of butter or tallow. You sear it for exactly 2 minutes per side. If you overcook it, the magic is gone. But if you keep it medium rare, the fibers stay tender, and the juices stay locked inside. When you take that first bite, you aren't just eating food, you are consuming a 1960s performance ritual. You are getting 20 times the biological value of a creatine drink for less than 50 cents. You are feeding your mitochondria the exact spark plugs they need to fire. This is how the greats built bodies that lasted, without the side effects of modern chemical experiments. You are also supporting nose-to-tail eating, which is the most ethical and sustainable way to live. You are using the whole animal and getting the best part of it for the lowest price. It is the ultimate market loophole. You are essentially hacking the grocery store, taking the most valuable item for a fraction of the cost of a chicken breast. You now have the ultimate fuel and the secret recipe, but there is one specific time of day you must eat this to prevent it from interfering with your sleep. Because beef heart is so high in B vitamins and CoQ10, it is a powerful stimulant for your metabolism. If you eat a heart burger too late at night, you might find yourself lying awake with a racing mind and a heart that feels like it wants to run a marathon. The high concentration of vitamin B12 and riboflavin acts like a natural spark plug for your nervous system, ramping up energy production at the cellular level. When the sun goes down, your body should be prepping for melatonin and rest, but a heavy dose of heart meat signals your mitochondria to stay in high gear. The best time to consume this 1960s secret is for lunch or as a pre-workout meal about 2 hours before you hit the gym. This window gives your body the necessary time to break down the food-bound creatine and move the L-carnitine into your cells. While synthetic powders can cause a sudden, watery pump that disappears quickly, the carnitine in heart tissue helps your body shuttle fatty acids into your mitochondria to be burned as stable fuel. By the time you start your first set, your internal battery is at 100%. You'll notice that your sweat even feels different. Your body is running cleaner. This is because you aren't filtering out the artificial dyes, sweeteners, and fillers found in commercial pre-workouts. The endurance you feel isn't the nervous, jittery energy of caffeine. It's a deep, calm strength that comes from knowing your cells are fully stocked. You'll find that during those final, grueling reps, you still have a reserve tank of power. This is the biological advantage of consuming a muscle that has evolved to never fatigue. Your heart rate remains more stable under load, and your recovery between sets happens in a fraction of the time. You aren't just borrowing energy from a stimulant, you are reclaiming the metabolic flexibility of your ancestors. You've successfully bypassed the multi-billion-dollar supplement trap that keeps most people broke and undernourished. You've returned to a way of eating that worked for the strongest men on Earth before the labs took over and convinced us that nature was insufficient. You are now fueled by the same never-resting energy that powers the most vital organ in the animal kingdom. This nose-to-tail approach isn't just about saving money, it's about respecting the biological matrix of real food. Step out of the supplement aisle and back to the butcher counter. The secret to your next personal record isn't hidden in a laboratory in a plastic tub. It's hanging in the cold room, waiting for someone smart enough to recognize its value. Your new peak is waiting for you, and it only costs 43 cents a serving. By aligning your nutrition with the 1960s secret, you are finally giving your body the bio-identical tools it needs to achieve elite performance. There is one more lost food from the 1960s that bodybuilders used to skyrocket their natural recovery overnight, and it's likely in your fridge right now. Watch this video next to see why you should never throw away this specific liquid. One simple change could double your muscle growth.